All right, welcome back. Today we're going to learn about arithmetic sequences. Tomorrow's going to be arithmetic series. Arithmetic sequence we talked about yesterday. It's a pattern that's formed by adding or subtracting the same value called the common difference to create the next term. So D is considered my common difference. So if I do 2, 4, 6, 8, I'm adding 2 to each of these. So my D value is going to be 2. It's whatever you're adding or subtracting to make the next term. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at these sequences, see if they're arithmetic. If they are, find the common difference. So one thing I like to do is I always like to take the second minus the first, and then the third minus the second. If those turn out to be the same, then more than likely this is going to be an arithmetic sequence. So on this one, I'm going to take 10 minus 6, which is 4. 14 minus 10, which is 4. So it says that I'm adding 4 each time. Am I adding 4 each time? Yes, so this is arithmetic. And whatever I'm adding is my common difference, 4. So try on this one. Negative 6 minus 5 is negative 11. Negative 17 minus negative 6, minus the negative you have to add, that also gives me negative 11. So am I subtracting 11 from each of these to get the next term? It is all the way down that sequence, so this is also arithmetic, with my common difference being negative 11. Okay, on this one, if I take 1 minus 1, I get 0. 2 minus 1, I get 1. These are not the same. So this is not arithmetic. Okay, on this one, let's look at 12 minus negative 4. That gives me 16. 28 minus 12 also gives me 16. Am I adding 16 each time? The answer is yes, so this is arithmetic, where your D value is 16. Okay, on our last one, we have 2 minus negative 2, which is 4. Negative 2 minus 2, which is negative 4. Are these the same? Not the same. So it's not arithmetic. Okay, so that's just telling whether it's adding or subtracting each time or not. Okay, let's go on. Here is a formula that you need to stop and write down. A sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. You will need to know this formula, and by the end, you're going to have at least 5 formulas to work with. So put them on a separate sheet of paper. Make sure you know what each term stands for. This is your last value in the sequence, or if I want the 5th value, a sub 5, I would get that answer. If I want the 100th term, a sub 100, I would get that. This is always your first term. This is the number of terms. So just like I said, if I wanted a sub 100, my n value is 100, I'm getting the 100th term. And then we all know what our D value is. That is our common difference, what we're adding or subtracting each time to get the next term. All right, so we are going to write the rule for these, and then we're going to find the certain term. So first we're going to write the rule. And remember, we have a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. So since I am looking for the rule, I'm going to keep this a sub n because I want to know what the 8th term is, the 25th term is, so that's going to stay in. Do I know my first term? My first term is 6 plus n minus 1. And what is happening each time? Well, 12 minus 6 is 6. 18 minus 12 is 6. So my common difference is 6. Now, let's work that out. A sub n equals 6 plus 6n minus 6. So A sub n equals 6n. There's my rule. Now I can find whatever term I want. A sub 10 is going to be 6 times 10. So A sub 10 turns out to be 60. So here's my rule, and here is the 10th term in that sequence. All right, let's do the next one. So A sub n equals A sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. I leave my A sub n to find the rule. My first term is 7 plus n minus 1. And what's happening each time? Well, negative 1 minus 7 is negative 8. Negative 9 minus negative 1 is negative 8. So my common difference is negative 8. A sub n equals 7 plus, I'm doing the distributive property, negative 8n plus 8. So A sub n equals negative 8n plus 15. All right, now it's time for, I'm looking for the 16th term. So A sub 16 equals negative 8 times 16 plus 15. A sub 16 turns out to be negative 113. So here is my rule, and here is the 16th term of that sequence. All right, we got one more to do here. A sub n equals A sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. A sub n stays as is. My first term is 0.5 plus n minus 1. I need my common difference. So 1 minus 0.5 equals 0.5. 1.5 minus 1 is 0.5, so my common difference is 0.5. Now let's do the distributive property. It's going to be 0.5n minus 0.5. That turns out to be A sub n equals 0.5n. Now I can find any term I want, and we want the 21st term. A sub 21 equals 0.5 times 21. A sub 21 turns out to be 10.5. So A sub n equals 0.5 times n is my rule, and my 21st term of that sequence is 10.5. All right, so for our next problem, we're going to write the rule for the nth term of the sequence. So if I have A sub n equals A sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d, to write the rule, I need A sub 1 and d. Well, I have the d value, but I do not have the A sub 1. So we're going to use this right here to find my A sub 1. So my 25th term, I'm going to write it as 6.75 equals, I do not know my first term, plus which term is 6.75? The 25th, because I get it from there. minus 1 times, I know my common difference is 0.25. I'm just putting this into my normal formula. So 6.75 equals a sub 1 plus 24 times 0.25. 6.75 equals a sub 1 plus multiply 24 times 0.25 and I get 6. Subtract the 6 and 0.75 turns out to be my first term. So now I can work with my first term being 0.75 and my D is 0.25. Now I'm going to put it back into the formula to find my rule. So a sub n equals 0.75 plus n minus 1. Remember, if I'm looking for a rule, I need my n's to stay there. 0.25. A sub n equals 0.75 distribute plus 0.25n minus 0.25. So a sub n turns out to be, I always put my variables first. So 0.25n plus 0.5. And that is our answer right there. That's the rule. So when you're finding the rule, you need your first term and your D, so you have to do something to find those. All right, ooh, here's a nice one. Remember, a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times D. And to work with this, to find the rule, I need my first term and I need my D value. I don't have it. I have the fourth term and I have the 10th term. Well, what I like about this one is you can make these into just points. This is the fourth term, which is 27, and this is the 10th term, which is negative 21. Common difference is exactly the same thing as slope, which I know formula from Algebra 1 is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the slope of this, and that is going to be our D value. So my second y is negative 21 minus my first one, which is 27, over my second x is 10 minus 4. That gives me negative 48 over 6, and that turns out to be negative 8. So I know that my D value is negative 8. I need that to get my rule. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my a sub 1, and we're going to do it just like the last problem. We're going to pick one of these values, and I'm going to pick this first one here. So I'm going to find a sub 1 by using a sub 4 equals 27. So I know that my fourth term is 27 equals, I do not know my first term, plus, which term is this one? 4 minus 1, and we just found our common difference, which is negative 8. 27 equals a sub 1 plus 3 times negative 8. 27 equals a sub 1 minus 24, so add 24 to each side. My a sub 1 turns out to be 51. Woohoo! Now we can find our rule finally. Here comes our rule. Rule, remember the ends stay there. A sub n equals my first term, 51, plus n minus 1 times negative 8. Distribute that negative 8. So I have 51 minus 8n plus 8. So here's my rule. A sub n equals negative 8n plus 59. Since I have that rule, I could now find any value I want. If I want the 1,000th term, all I have to do is plug in 1,000. All right. So now we have it's a line. So any line you get, whether it's increasing or decreasing, turns out to be arithmetic. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to find these values. So n is 1, so that value is 4 right there, 1, 4. I have 2, 2, 3, 0, 4, negative 2, and 5 is negative 4. So what is my first term? My first term is 4. All I need is my common difference. So what's happening to each term? Well, I can take my second one minus my first. I can take my third one minus my second. So my common difference is actually negative 2. It's going down by 2 every time. All right, now I put it into a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. A sub n equals 4 plus n minus 1 times negative 2. Distribute that. A sub n equals 4 plus negative 2n plus 2. So my rule is a sub n equals negative 2n plus 6. Okay, so don't forget, always need your first term and your common difference. Here is our last problem for the day. So it says, in an arithmetic sequence beginning with 8, I like that. That means I know my first term is 8. And ending with 216. So a sub n equals 216. How many integers are divisible by 4? Divisible by 4, your d value is going to be 4. So again, a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. It says how many terms or how many integers. If you do this problem and you get a decimal, you did something wrong. You need to go back and correct it because I want to know how many integers. I can't say, well, 2.5 integers. No, it has to be whole numbers. So I know my a sub n is 216. My first term is 8 plus n minus 1 times 4. 216 equals 8 plus 4n minus 4. 216 equals 4n plus 4. Subtract 4 from each side. 212 equals 4n. Divide by 4. And the number of terms is 53. So there are 53 terms in that sequence. 53 integers. All right. Remember, ask your teacher. Your teacher knows best. Make sure you're asking questions, staying up on your lessons. This is our last chapter. Don't forget,